Howdy y'all, and welcome to Bean's BFA Feral PvP Guide. We're gonna go over talents and honor talents, Azerite traits, stat weights, macros, damage priority, how to incarn effectively, effective ways to avoid damage, comps, and how to get the biggest bites. Okay? So, first talents, let me do this. Bang. Alright, so first talents. You always want to go Moonfire basically right now. There's going to be a new patch soon which puts Sabretooth up here, but I'll make a little update for that after. Right now you always want to go Moonfire. Then you pretty much always want to go Travel Form, especially versus like R-Druids or something that's, let's say you're playing jungle for example, the classic where you basically your job is to stun the healer and the hunter gets trapped and you kill stuff. So Wild Charge is really useful to charge the enemy and get that stun. So you don't have to just waddle to the enemy, just walks away from you or sprints away from you. You can actually leap to him and get the stun. So it's like a guaranteed stun. If you're getting really trained a lot, Renewal could be good. Tiger Dash, I used to like it a lot, but I mean, in reality, like the other ones are just better. So you don't really go Tiger Dash unless you just want to play with the new talent. On this, Resto Affinity just got recently nerfed. I think it's still pretty damn good, especially versus no MS targets. So like not like warriors and rogues, for example, assassination rogues have Mortal Strike effect, which reduces the healing, so be wary about that. Sometimes you can use it, sometimes it won't be that good, especially after the nerf. Guardian Affinity is good if you're going to get trained, and Bounce Affinity, I don't really go it anymore. It got a little bit nerfed, but I don't think it's that crazy anymore. So yeah, usually Guardian or Resto Affinity. If they're not going here, just go Resto Affinity. Third one, you can go Mighty Bash, basically every single game, unless you want to be really kinky. You can go with Typhoon, and you could Typhoon and then melee root people. I'll explain melee roots when I get to it. Pretty much always go Mighty Bash, though. Like you can go Mighty Bash 100% of your games. For this tree, Soul of the Forest is pretty good sometimes if you want that consistent bang. Let's say, like for example, where I like it, if I'm playing like FMP sometimes, I kind of like it because you can control. You cannot die, basically. Like, with a mage on your team, you can make sure you don't die. But if you're playing jungle, for example, you need a bang and you need a kill. You're not gonna have that option to live. You're not gonna have that option to sheep DPS or anything like that. So, Soul is more consistent bangs, like, throughout the game, throughout setups. Like, let's say you get sheeps off cooldown kind of thing. It's more consistent bangs than Incarn. But Incarn is, you can go Incarn every game. I usually do now. And it's just that, you know, it's just regular Incarn. It's just the biggest bang you can have. It's a 3-minute bang. It's a big bang, you know? On this tree, Sabretooth, 100% of the time. I've never gone Brutal Slash, never gone Savage Roar. There's a few specs that have Savage Roar in them, but that's with like certain Azerite traits and stuff. But for this guide, we don't go Savage Roar here, okay? Moment of Clarity, Blood Talons, Feral Frenzy. With the Azerite trait, which I'll show you in a minute, with the Bite Azerite trait, what makes your Bite hit stronger, which is probably the best Azerite trait right now. You usually want to go Blood Talons just so you have the biggest bite you can get. Moment of Clarity is really good with other certain Azerite traits, so maybe I should have gone over Azerite traits first. I guess I'll go over it when I'm at Azerite traits. Moment of Clarity is good if you're going to go with like a Shred Azerite. I don't really use it right now. I'm only using really the Bite one, so pretty much Blood Talons every game. Alright, Honor Talents, Trinket every game. You need it, you're really squishy. Ferocious Wound every game. It's basically your Mortal Strike in a sense. Savage Momentum, this can be switched out if you know you're not going to get a kick, if you're fighting like a Resto Druid or something, or if you just know you're not going to land a kick. You don't need to go this, but it's really good if you do land kicks. So you can switch this out for like Protector of the Grove, you can switch it out for Earthen Grasp, Thorns, Freedom for Boomkins, even Malorn Swiftness. Basically you can switch that one out. But overall, I usually keep these two almost all the time. And then you have Thorns. So this one you can really switch out for anything. You can go Earthen Grasp, you can go Freedom, you can go Malorn, you can go Protector of the Grove, Rip and Tear. Those are pretty, and sometimes King of the Jungle. So that's the row you can switch out a lot depending. Like if I'm fighting double melee or something like that, Thorns is usually good. If I'm playing with a mage, sometimes I like Earthen Grasp to root healers behind pillars or root the other DPS. Malorns, if you're honestly getting trained, it sounds really troll, but honestly, if you're getting trained sometimes, and you can force them off you. You know, you can force people off you by just literally running the whole game. So it's pretty troll. I wouldn't really do it, but I like to mess with it sometimes. Prick of the Grove, really good for healing your teammates. Rip and Tear I never go, honestly, because I don't have a keybind for it. So basically Thorns, Earthen Grasp, Protector of the Grove, if you're triple donning King of the Jungle. Alright. That's your talents. Now, Azerite traits, let me see if I can do something here with this. We'll put up friends list and then do this. Bang. Alright, so Azerite traits, usually I like to go with the Raking Ferocity. By usually, I mean every single game, always. This just got nerfed 50%, but it seems to still be your biggest bang, basically. It does the most like effective damage that you'll actually notice and see. There's a few other traits I'll show you that I've tested, but I don't really like that much. The secondary talent, honestly, this probably isn't the best secondary talent, and this probably isn't the best third one. The best, I haven't looked at all the pieces of Azerite if they have the best ones, but I know for sure you want to go with Raking Ferocity right now, at least I do. Every game. I have 3 of them. Like I said, this probably isn't the best secondary, but what can I do? I don't have the right gear. And this probably isn't the best secondary as well, but bite all the time. So the different Azerite traits I've tested, there's one called, let me see. So Shredding Fury is one, but this is actually already nerfed in PvP, so I think it's already nerfed 50%. So I think Bite is just still better, just because Bite is just, it hits hard. And your shreds aren't gonna, this isn't gonna be that good of a trait. Then there's Wild Flesh Running, which this is what a lot of people use right now, because it's actually not nerfed in PvP. But the only thing I don't like about it, it's a bit awkward that you have to thrash, you have to use an AoE to get more single target damage, because you're not going to be swiping in PvP, right? So you're basically forced to thrash to get more damage on Shred. This spec is only really good with Incarn. While you're Incarning, you hit like 14, 15k shreds, like bang, 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 bang. But after Incarn, it seems like it pretty much drops off. This is the spec you play Moment of Clarity for, so you can get more moments of clarity, where you can get free thrashes and bigger shreds and stuff like that. So if you have 3 of them, you can mess with this, but I don't really like it. I like my bite traits more. And then there's Iron Jaws, which is really good. It would actually be really good, but I had a game one time where I bit the guy with 5 common points 7 times, and I didn't get 1 proc of this. And when you get a proc, it actually kind of chunks the guy when you use your maim, but it doesn't proc that often, which makes it pretty bad, I think. Other than that, this is some low-key stuff. I was looking at Masterful Instincts. Okay, this is some low-key stuff. If you had 3 of these, this might be good. Just to, like, help you live and stuff. It sounds pretty troll, but I swear, if you had 3 of those, that could be lit. Other than that, some people are going this Gushing Lacerations, which I don't have 3 of them, so I haven't actually tested. But I could see it being pretty good, honestly. Maybe buffing your bleeds a little bit. Is it better than Bite? Maybe, probably not. So yeah, overall, I'd just say go Bite trait, Raking Ferocity, rather. Okay. Stat weights. Alright, stat weights for Feral PvP. I like to go with, let me see if I can get this up properly. I like to go with Versatility. Now, my gear is not like perfect at all. But ideally, I would like to go with Versatility, like 100%, or obviously Agility. And then Versatility, 100% of the time. I think it's really important to be able to live as a Feral, because Ferals are known to be really squishy and are really squishy. That's why they have to run a lot, they have to use their mobility. If you get caught in stuns, you'll instantly die. So I think Versatility is probably the most important stat. After Versatility right now, I think it's Haste, just for energy regen and just kind of pounder damage. And I mean, if you really want to know after Haste, I'd probably go with Mastery and then Crit. Crit is just this, like, Crit is just like an RNG. Like, unless you can get the crit from 17% to like 30%, like a big chunk of crit, if you can do that, maybe it's worth it. But if you're only going to go from 17% to like 20% or 25%, I mean, it's like 5% more chance. You know, it's a pretty dumb stat to go. Mastery just increases your bleeds. In 8.1, when it comes out, I'll try to do like an update on this. Mastery will also affect our Ferocious Bite and our finishers. So Mastery will probably be better than Haste, but I'm not sure. Look at my little owl shoes, yep. So yeah, Versatility and Haste right now, and Agility before that. Alright, my macros. So my macros don't really matter. I don't really have any specific... Oh, okay. Alright, okay, we have a really good macro. So this macro right here, Basically what this does, if you're fighting a BM hunter, which have been nerfed so you don't see a lot of them, but if you're fighting a hunter in general or a pet class, let's say eventually we fight Demolox or something like that, this will root any pet in the game basically, like a DK pet or something. This will, you don't have to target them, you don't have to do anything. This will just find Arena 1, 2, or 3 pet and root it. You can change this macro for Hibernate, you can change it for whatever you want. Like, I don't know if Pally still have that fear for pets or undead pets or whatever. Probably not. But you can change this and it'll do anything to any pet in the game. So it's really good. I have a Hibernate one of these and a root one of these, and it's really helpful versus pets. That's nothing. This is a macro that kind of just... So, for example, if I was to change spec, this macro would basically change the tooltip. So the tooltip's right down here on T, where my mouse is. And so let's say I go Tiger Dash. It'll change that to Tiger Dash. It's just convenience macro. Doesn't really do anything. Same thing here. It'll change Bash to Typhoon. Or, you know, Mass Entangle if you really want. Doesn't really do anything. Just peace of mind stuff. Focus Bash. Basically, the only macros I really have are just Focus and 1, 2, 3 macros. I don't have any, other than the Hibernate Pet or the Root Pet, Hibernate Pet, I don't really have any other macros. Focus Hibernate, Focus Wild Charge, Focus Skull Bash. This is Kick 1, but it's Show Tooltip Dash. So this shows the tooltip of Dash, but it does Kick Arena 1, Kick Arena 2, Kick Arena 3. Moonfire 1, Moonfire 2, Moonfire 3. Maim 1, Maim 2, but with a Show Tooltip for Hibernate, Maim 3. Basically, those are pretty much my macros. Either just Show Tooltip, just Regrowth 1, Party 1, Party 2, Party 1, Party 2, Party 1, Party 2. Nothing really crazy for ferals for macros. Thorns, Party 1, Party 2. Just Hibernate 1, Hibernate 2, Hibernate 3. So macros are nothing really crazy, just you want Focus and or Arena 1, 2, 3 macros. Alright, damage priority slash incarn effective incarn. So damage priority, I'll link the macro in chat after, okay? Or fine, I'll link it now, okay? So damage priority for ferals is you want to put up, you want to keep up your bleeds basically because you're a feral druid. So just a casual example, you go into this guy, you want to put up bleeds. There you have full bleeds, okay? Basically a damage priority, but it gets deeper than that because you want to, when you're playing Sabretooth for example, you know your rip is going to constantly refresh. So you see how my rip is at 14 seconds here? If I bite, it goes back up to 24, okay? So this is a macro that... Or it's not a macro, it's a talent that constantly refreshes your rip. So what you want to do is, at the beginning of a game, you want to make sure you get the strongest possible rip you can on the target. That's like your main goal. And when you're playing Bloodhounds, this could be a bit awkward, because you need to play Lunar Inspiration. So I'll show you here what you do. Basically, let's say you're going to open on, like, whatever class, you know, fuck this guy, we're going to open on this guy, right? So you pounce him for the stun. Then you got to Moonfire a couple times to get 5 comp points, use a Tiger's Fury, and put your rip up. So you make sure you have your strongest rip with Blood Talons, Tiger's Fury, basically. And other than that, it's just using your Blood Talons properly. You wanna make sure you're Blood Talonsing your bite, your rakes after that, your bite and rakes, basically. And then just keeping up your dots. So the rotation basically is, or the priority is, make sure you get that really strong rip up, because you're constantly going to refresh it through the whole game. And then you basically just want to use your Blood Talons on Bite, and you want to use it on Rake, and then you just keep your dots up. And that's really it for the damage rotation. It's pretty simple damage rotation. And if you use your proc early like I did here, you just got to Moonfire up until you're at that. A big thing to look out for is Bite actually does, I think it's 100% more damage. It's 100% more damage if you're at 50 energy. So ideally when you're running the Bite traits with Blood Talons, if you know you have time, like let's say the guy's bashed, right, and you know you have time to build up that energy to 50 energy, you want to do that. Because you want to get this Blood Talons, and you want a Tiger Tree and Big Bite right there. So if that makes sense to you guys, I'm going to redo it real quick so you guys can see. Well, right now I don't have Tiger Tree sadly, but basically the rotation is to keep up that rip, then you want to use your Blood Talons on Bite and Rake, just to keep up big bleeds. And big bites. Oh, true. And you definitely with the trait, you definitely want to make sure you get that that rake debuff up before you actually bite. All right, so now we got the whole thing. We're gonna open on this guy. We're gonna moonfire until we get 5 comp points. We're gonna tiger straight thing, and then for this, we're gonna save our proc for a little bit here. And if you're getting purge, you might need to use your proc, which is sometimes why you need to spam moonfire. You're gonna use your proc. You're gonna rake, and you're gonna wait for 50 energy if it's possible. Let's say he's bashed, and then you're gonna bite, and just keep up your bleeds. Alright, so how to use Incarn efficiently, or effectively rather. Basically, you want to have full bleeds up already. You don't want to really use Incarn to get bleeds up, so you want to have full bleeds like this up already. And then what you do is you literally just pop an Incarn. You get that re-stealth, you pounce them, and you big bite, and you do the same rotation, but you have more energy to do it more often, basically. So right here, I'm going to rake one more time, I'm going to wait for 50 energy. And I'm gonna bite, and ideally you want to Incarn when the healer's in CC. Like let's say you're playing Feral Mage or something like that. You don't just want to Incarn really randomly. You want to Incarn like when you bash the healer and he's going for a sheep, and you Incarn and you can stun the other guy, so you can kind of cover. Like let's say you're fighting like an enhanced shaman monk or something like that, and you're playing Mage Feral. You want to bash the monk, and then you want to Incarn stun the shaman, so he won't be able to shear your mage. So that, you know, therefore you get a guaranteed poly, and you have at least 8 seconds of just pure like Incarn damage going up on him. So that's probably the best way to, well, that is the best way to use Incarn, is when the healer's in CC, when you have full bleeds up. I mean, if you have trinket procs, it's even better. Like that's amazing if you got trinket procs going. And yeah, that's how you use Incarn. For the most part. Basically, if you're playing jungle, same thing. When you stun the healer and he gets a trap, that's when you're Incarning. Okay, let's see. Effective ways to avoid damage. Well, I'm not really in arena, so I'm gonna try to show you guys like an effective way. I think this is probably a better place. It's kind of like in a grand feel right here. Let's say let's put down some pillars. Hold on, I gotta. Who's in a group? I need to invite someone in a group. Wait, I can just do this. Wait, I got it. Pre-made. Alright, let's just start a group. A. Alright, hopefully no one queues up. Alright, so let's put these as pillars, okay? So these are 2 big pillars, okay? We're on Nagrand Arena, okay? This is like the opening gates. Oh, no, you know, this is the opening gates, okay? We're going into Nagrand, like, oh, yeah. Let's say you're fighting like a cleave or something like that. Best thing to do is always bear form. If you can bear form stuns, okay, let's say Rogue Mage, because Rogue Mage is the hardest. So Rogue Mage, what you really want to look for is you want to look for kidney. If they're sub, you want to look for kidney on your healer. That gives you a signal to basically bear form. Bear form is probably your biggest defensive in general, especially versus melees. It gives you a fuckload of armor, and you're a bear, so you're tankier. You get more health, and yeah, you're pretty happy as a bear. So the main thing is you want to bear form stuns. Ideally versus any class, like let's say you're playing a warrior. If you know the warrior's going to Stormbolt you, if you see it on your Omni bar that Stormbolt's off cooldown, and he charges you, you want to bear it instantly, because if you bear the Stormbolt, you'll take a lot less damage than if you don't bear the Stormbolt. Ferals are notoriously really squishy, especially in cat form, so you want to make sure you're bearing stuns, or you'll probably die in stuns, or it'll force Trinket Wall or something like that. Outside of bearing, your other biggest defensive is obviously wall. Walling, but it only lasts 6 seconds, so it's not like insane, but I mean, it's a really good cooldown, right? But outside of that, you want to use your mobility to run around pillars. So if you're getting chased, if you're just getting trained all game and you can't go for the bashes, you can't really do much. You basically want to force them off you, or just make the game aids for their healer. Basically, you want to, if you're getting trained by Turbo, for example, you want to drag the melee away from the healer. If you're not able to jump in and get the bash because you're going to die, you want to drag away from the healer. So you want to run around the pillar, put the bleeds up, and just play really catty, like literally really catty. Just kind of bring the melee behind here, kind of just bleed them up, just run around, just use deer form. Obviously, I'm not deer form. Here we go. Wait, does this make me go deer form? Alright, yeah, deer form. So you basically want to run around this pillar, you want to make sure they don't hit you, put bleeds up, keep your bleeds up with bite, and just avoid damage. That's how you play Feral. You either bear form stuns, you either use a cooldown, like wall, or you run. So bear forming, running, and using wall. And then, you know, communicate with your healer if you're okay or not. as resto affinity, you can also run around the pillar and use your heals. So, you know, let's say a warrior's chasing you. You can root him real quick, run around, use your heals, and just kite him around the pillar. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we just run. I mean, that's our best defensive is our mobility. So running is really good to do. Alright, and comps. So best comps for ferals. I guess I'll label it from best to worst. I think probably the best comp for feral is feral hunter, jungle cleave. Survival hunter right now. Basically how the comp works is you have probably debatably the most damage in the game with a lot of CC. How the comp works as from a feral point of view is basically you do the most damage you can, and what you do is you just bash the healer off cooldown. That's immune, but I bashed it there. You bash the healer off cooldown, and you kill the DPS. That's usually your job as a jungle, as the feral in jungle, is to bash healer or stun healer for trap and completely annihilate the DPS. Usually, sometimes I'm not a jungle expert, but sometimes you double dot DPS, like kill both of the DPS casually, and sometimes you can just single dot and just own one DPS. It's a really stressful comp from a feral point of view because a lot of teams will go feral. So that's really where the kiting and stuff comes in. Kiting and using walls and bearing properly, because you will take a lot of damage in jungle. It's basically a comp where you kill or you be killed, basically. You bang or you get banged. There's not a lot of defensive capability. Like, the hunter can't really help you live. It's basically just a bang comp. Like, you go in there, you pop all your cooldowns, basically. You make the game end in a minute or 2 or 3. Some people play a little slower. But usually jungle games will probably last about 2-3 minutes. Honestly, 2 to 3 minutes. And yeah, it's a really stressful comp. Make sure you're using your walls high on that comp. Make sure if you really need to, make sure you're lining. But basically the main goal is for you to stun the healer, so your hunter can get a free trap, and you just kill the DPS. After that, I say probably the second best comp for feral is probably FMP, either FM Priest or FM Pally. These are the comps I love to play just because they're not as damage like base. Like, you can actually live, you can prolong the game, you can win with setups. A mage can sheep defensively and offensively. A hunter can only do it offensively. It's a really, really fun comp to play. I would say it's probably just about as strong as jungle for the most part. It has weaknesses for certain healers, like our druids, our shams are pretty hard for FMP. I'm not a jungle expert, but I'm pretty expert at FMP or feral mage in general. So the hard healers are feral mage, our druids, and our shamans. Our druids can now, so you can actually our druids. But basically, as FMP, kind of similar. You want to stun the healer for sheeps, but also a mage can get sheeps without your stun sometimes. So if you're getting trained as FMP versus if you're getting trained as jungle really requires you to get those stuns, and FMP you're not really required to get those stuns. So it's more lenient on you. You can basically run away a lot. Oh, trying to get my dough form. Hold on. You can basically run away a lot, and your mage can get a free sheep, and that's when you engage. As a hunter, you really want to get the stuns for the hunter so you can get the trap, and you just bang. So that's what makes jungle. That's what makes jungle more like offensive and kind of harder to play. I'd say debatably harder to play because you really don't have defense. You just have offense. So you just go pound, pound, pound. If you don't kill, you're gonna die. FMP, you can pound, and if you don't kill, you can run away and completely reset, and it doesn't really hurt you as much as it would hurt jungle. Also, there's FM Pally, which is basically the same thing. You or your Pally stun the healer, and you just kill basically, FMP is 100% single target. You just want to single target the guy. You want to sheep the off DPS. You want to keep yourself safe. You want to help the mage if they're going mage with resto affinity, and you just bang. It's a really, really fun comp. I would definitely recommend playing FMP. I don't like playing jungle. I definitely, if I had a choice to play FMP or jungle the rest of my life, it would 100% be FMP. It feels like a much more enjoyable experience a lot of the times, at least defensive-wise and stress-wise on the feral. Yeah, really, really fun comps. And then another comp, outside of jungle and FMP, feral comps are kind of like, like kitty cleave, like playing with a warrior. I've seen Ebola, like DK Feral. Feral Enhance is pretty good because of the off heals. Feral Ret was like pretty good, but after Feral Nerf, I don't know if it's that good anymore. It's basically cleaves after that. I think FLS will be a thing in BFA eventually, where you can play with a Warlock, you can kind of rot everything. I think eventually that'll be good. With a Moonkin, ooh, this is a good comp. Moonkin Feral. It actually kind of plays like FMP in a sense, where you have that caster who can CC a lot and play really defensive, but also have the big bangs. Feral Moonkin is actually pretty much like FMP. You want to get the stuns on the healer or the root beams, and you CC the healer off that. You kill DPS. You can kill healers even. It's kind of more like a YOLO comp. Kind of just feel it out. But the main thing in most Feral comps is you have to live. So learning how to live is probably the hardest thing for Ferals. It requires a lot of communication with your healer and just kind of knowing how to live, knowing how to bear form, knowing when to bear form, running around the pillars, and knowing when you can come out and do damage or when you should come out and do damage. So most Feral comps are really based off of either pure aggression, like jungle, just go in, either get banged or bang, or like FMP where you can go in and bang, and then you can also retreat, but it doesn't hurt you as much. So most comps are like FMP, or most comps are like jungle for Feral, where it is really Mongo. But like FMP, basically Feral caster is pretty like, you can pretty much reset. You're not like forced to end the game really early with Feral caster. With like Feral melee or Feral hunter, it is really aggressive. Being him, I'm banging. Alright, and the last thing is bites, how to get the biggest bites. So, you know what? I actually have to go through something first. So, energy management for Feral is basically getting the energy to bite. Getting 50 energy to bite to get those big bites off right now. That's basically all you need to save your energy for, really. Or if you know you're gonna, like, let's say you're playing FMP and you know you're gonna get a setup, you can pull your energy a bit, but I mean, it's not the biggest deal. Basically, the only thing you want to make sure is when you're biting, for the most part, you want to make sure when you're biting that you at least have 50 energy. So I didn't have a proc there because I'm dumb. Let me get a proc. So you want to make sure you at least have 50 energy when you bite so you can get the biggest bites. Because bite does 100% more damage with 50 energy. That's really the only thing you need to worry about with energy. Other than that, you can just use your abilities, use your spells. Unless you're like really methodical, I don't even know the word, unless you're like really fucking smart and you really want to pool your energy for this setup, you know you're gonna kill here, you can pool it, but you don't really need to pool it. Shut the fuck up, Eco. Alright, in the classes you hit the hardest. Cloth, you usually hit it really hard. Mages, you hit really hard. Basically cloth and leather, you hit really hard. So Feral Druids, you can pound Feral Druids really hard. You can pound Mages really hard. You can pound Locks really hard. Shadow Priest, before they have like the 25% or 20% reduction, you can pound really hard. Even after they have the reduction, you can still hit them pretty damn hard. So basically, you hit Cloth and Leather the hardest for sure. Obviously, if a Feral's in bear form, you don't hit him as hard. If he's in cat form, you hit him really hard. So yeah, look for cloth and leather targets, I'd say. Mail, you still hit pretty hard, but it's definitely, you can definitely feel the armor reduction when you hit mail and plate after that. So you want to look for mages, locks, ferals, rogues, classes like those. You hit them really hard. Plate classes, your bites, you'll definitely feel the difference in bites between a plate class and a cloth class, basically. And how to get the biggest bites. So I kind of explained this already, but basically how you get the biggest bites, I'll explain an opener and I'll show you how you get the biggest bites. Okay, we'll incarn. We'll open here, we'll get our bleeds up. Got our moonfires 7 times. Now you got our blood talons, and you're gonna get ready to bite. You're over 50 energy, you just bite. Basically your biggest bites are trinket procs, Tiger's Fury, over 50 energy, blood talons, and have the rake buff up. So this buff. So that's basically how you get your biggest bites. You have trinket procs, you have blood talons, you have over 50 energy, and you have your rake trait going, the raking ferocity trait going. And that's how you get your biggest bites. And that's about it. That's pretty much it. And I will be updating this in 8.1 for the changes, and I'll see what specs are better